Hello everyone! In this video, we are going to learn about metaphors in the poem When You Are Old by William Butler Yeats. I will explain the poem in a simple way so you can understand the meaning easily. Now, let's take a look at the poem and find the metaphor inside it. But before we listen to the poem, we have 3 learning objectives in this video. First, to identify metaphors in the poem when you are old. Second, to analyze the figurative meaning created by those metaphors. And third, to find metaphors in other poems using simple detection strategies. Now, listen to the poem together.
When you are old and gray and full of sleep and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes had once and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with love false or true. But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly, how love fled and paced upon the mountains overhead, and hid his face amid a crowd of stars.
Now, let's learn a little about the poem. This poem was written by William Butler Yeats for a woman he loved. Yeats had deep feelings for her, but she did not return his love in the same way. In the poem, he imagines her in the future as an old woman. He pictures her sitting by the fire, remembering her younger days and thinking about the people who truly love her. Now, let's look at the main themes of the poem. First, aging. The poem shows how time passes and how people grow older. Second, love. It talks about deep, sincere love that stays strong even when beauty fades. Third, inner beauty. The poem reminds us that true beauty comes from the heart, not the appearance. And the last is memory. It shows how memories can bring back the feelings from the past, even many years later. Next, let's look at the tone of the poem. First, reflective. The poem sounds deep as if the speaker is looking back and thinking about the past. Second, gentle. The language feels soft and calm, showing kindness and quiet emotion. And the last is nostalgic. The poem carries a feeling of longing for moments that have already passed. Let's take a look at this line. This line uses a metaphor because it compares her inner self to a pilgrim. Pilgrim means a traveler on a long personal journey. This metaphor shows that he loves her inner spirit, the part of her that keeps growing, searching, and becoming better over time. So, what is a metaphor? Metaphor is a direct comparison between two different things in order to create imagery, emotion, or deeper meaning. It helps the reader understand an idea in a more vivid and imaginative way. Now, let's look at the characteristic of metaphor. First, A metaphor is a direct comparison that does not use a like or as. This means it says one thing is another to make the idea stronger. Second, a metaphor connects two different ideas or objects. It links things that are not alike to help us understand them in a fresh way. And third, the statement in a metaphor is usually not literally possible. It describes something in an imaginative way, not as a real fact. Now, let's look at another metaphor in the poem. Here, the line says, "Love hid his face amid a crowd of stars." The poem describes love as if it were a person who can hide his face. This makes the emotion feel alive and more human. The phrase, "a crowd of stars," creates an image of many shining memories. It suggests that even when love feels far away, its memories still shine. So overall, these metaphors helps us imagine love as something gentle but distant, hiding among memories that continue to glow. Now, we'll look at the literal reading, or what the poem would mean if we take the lines exactly as they are. First, a soul cannot become a pilgrim. This means a soul is not a physical person, so it cannot travel like a real pilgrim. The next is, love cannot hide its face. Because love is an emotion, it does not have a real face that can be hidden. And the last, no one hides among stars. No human can actually stand or hide in the sky, so this image cannot happen in real life. So, this point shows us that the poem is using figurative language, not literal meaning. Let's talk about figurative interpretation, or the real meaning. First, pilgrim soul. This means a person's true beauty and how they grow inside. It talks about who we really are beyond our looks. Second, love hid. This means the love has slowly faded or disappeared. The feeling is no longer the same as before. And last is crowd of stars. This means memories that feel far away but still shine brightly in our hearts. There are a few reasons why these metaphors matter in the poem. First, these metaphors add emotional depth and strong imagery. They help the poem create feelings and pictures in the reader's mind. Second, they strengthen the themes of aging, memory, and spiritual love. The metaphors highlight this idea in a deeper and more meaningful way. Third, they help readers feel the message, not just read it. The metaphors turn simple lines into something more emotional and relatable. And finally, they make the poem more powerful and meaningful. Because of the metaphors, the poem leaves a stronger impact on anyone who reads it. Here's a tip of how to find metaphors in a poem. First, look for comparisons that don't use the words like or as. Metaphors compare two things directly, and if a line makes one thing sound like something else, it might be a metaphor. Second, check if the description is impossible in real life. If the poem says something like love is hiding or the soul is traveling, those ideas cannot literally happen, so they are probably metaphors. Next, see if one thing is being described As another thing, metaphors often follow the pattern A equal B, even though they are not actually the same. For example, calling the stars a crowd turned them into something human. And finally, try replacing the poetic phrase with a simple, literal meaning. If the line still makes sense, it's a good sign that the original wording was a metaphor.